Well, first I want to thank our crowd, our family, friends, and loved ones of the program for being here today. I thought it provided a great atmosphere for our guys, but also it's a reminder how special our program is, how special this place is, how special the tradition is, dating back to Norm, and obviously all the coaches that followed in those footsteps that he set out. To give us a respectable name in the basketball community. I thought our players this summer have done a great job, tremendous job of giving their very best. Our newcomers, they just want to appease the head coach, and I thought they did a great job of getting better, learning the terminology, but also bonding with teammates. We're embarking on a trip to Jamaica. I think for me as a head coach, what I gain or what I plan to gain from it has already taken place, and that's allowing us to practice, allowing the team to get in the mindset of togetherness and, just be able to share the core values of friendship, love, accountability, trust, discipline, unselfishness, enthusiasm, and toughness. The biggest thing for me is to come away with more team building while we're over there, making sure we stay healthy. But more importantly, bonding and embarking on this upcoming season is going to be important for us.
All right, questions for the two players and coach?
For any or all of you guys, I mean, if you go back 12 months, I think none of you have been here for more than about 3 months at this time, and a whole, nobody really knew anybody else necessarily. Can you kind of compare how different this summer is to the beginning of last summer for all of you?
I'll say it's kind of a little bit of the same stuff. A lot of team bonding stuff. A lot of things in practice. I think this summer we emphasize a lot more on defense, just for younger guys to understand the rotations and stuff like that. But off the court, I mean, we're always going to be a tight team and bond as much as we can. So I say it's some similarities, but it's also some differences.
I agree. Obviously, when you have a new team, you're gonna have to do kind of the same stuff each summer, just implementing, our defenses, our offense. So just getting in that, and obviously a different team than last year's, but yeah, we're super close, super tight, and yeah, we're having a good time.
Development is an important part in our program. Being able to have guys prepared. Last year at this time, you got to understand, Kobe Brown got feedback of not being drafted. Demoy Hodge did not know what his future would look like. Dre Golston the same, Trey Gomillion the same, Ben Sternberg the same. What difference a year makes in our program, not only for our former players, but also players that are deciding on possibly becoming Mizzou Tigers. I think what separates us is our player development program and our ability to get guys through the process. What greater data out there than to see these guys be successful in the summer league. I thought Demoy Hodge's success and Kobe Brown's success validated that player development, validated where and what we've been able to do in less than a year's time. As a team perspective, we want our newcomers to be led by our players first and our coaches second. And if you have that type of environment, you have an environment of accountability, you have an environment that the NCAA doesn't allow us to be on and between the lines with our players each and every second of the day. So it's more important to have players lead players, especially when it's voluntary, when they get into the gym, when they're playing open gym, but also our standards on and off the court, in the classroom, in our community. Those things are important, and I still do think our guys are leading the right way.
Dennis, do you have an idea how many games you'll play in Jamaica and like who you'll be playing against?
Yeah, I don't have specific of the who. I think the biggest opponent that we always concentrate on is ourselves. I know that we will have inter-squad scrimmage out there while we're there, and then there's a group of players that are being flown in through the travel, and I just hope they get get where they need to be safely. And they're coming from states, they're coming from Europe, they're coming from different places. So it's a group of pro players, but also players from Jamaica. There's been, some high-level players come from the country. And I truly believe the grassroots basketball over there is no different than other Caribbean countries. Is very good, and we're excited to be able to fly into Montego Bay. We don't have to travel far because of the convention center is probably 5-10 minutes away from the airport, and our hotel is literally right up across the street from the convention center. So I'm excited about that. Are we going out there to sightsee? No, we're not. We're going out there to, it's a business trip. We're going out there to get better, but also bond as a team.
Dennis,
This is for Noah or Nick. How do you guys plan to take more on a leadership role since you guys are more of the veterans on the team?
Honestly, just trying to help our freshmen, help our newcomers as much as we can. Being here for a year, understanding our, all the things that we do. Kind of just helping them as much as we can, being as vocal as possible. That's what I've been trying to tell the guys, the young guys. I think that's the most important part, is communicating. And I mean, that's what Coach Gates wants. Just showing effort and communicating and just trying to tell them and teach them that.
I would say just taking more of a vocal role this year. I feel like I took a leadership step last year, but Coach Gage let me know I can, always get better in that aspect. But just with us two being in college for a long time, showing the new guys, the ropes. I know it's tough. You got a lot of kids that are away from home for the first time. I know these winters get a little cold, so when you got coach on your back and it's a little cold up here, it might get tough. But I feel like just me and Noah together, just trying to lead as much as possible on and off the court, and make their stay as comfortable as possible through the tough times.
Our captains, Sean East, Mabor Jacques, Noah Carter, Nick Honor, they've done a tremendous job of filling in and not allowing a coach's voice to overshadow the group. And that's important when you have peer involvement, peer communication. I demand a level of communication. These two have gotten tremendously better, but I'm also looking for Sean East to lead Mabor Jacques, who's been with me now for four years. So he knows the standards of our program. And our freshman leader, Ant Robinson, I think these guys have to continue to develop. And it starts vocally, it starts with communication, but it also, you have to reach everyone else in the program, and I think they're doing that. Communication is a two-way thing. Leadership is a two-way thing. To be a great leader, you got to convince somebody to be a great follower. And I think when we're able to accomplish those goals in the most minute form, but also in the most visible form, in abundant form, it's able to show itself in different ways. And we just want to get better, a little bit better each and every day.
Dennis, how does a trip to Jamaica come together? Like, how long did you have to plan for something like that, and just what are the logistics a little bit?
Well, I think when you look at every MTE tournament that's out there nowadays, you look at those that are non-domestic, meaning on international soil, you try to reach out to those sponsors or those MTE directors who usually have the courts and even the, the relationships with the politics over there, but more importantly, to make sure guys are in safety at all times. And that's what we were able to do. We reached out to the directors of the Jamaican Classic and tried to figure out, if there was possibilities. We looked at other places like Bahamas, we looked at other places, but I just thought, the Jamaican trip was something that was possible. European trips are good, they're great, but more importantly, it takes longer to get there, and there is more sightseeing. And I wanted to condense it. I didn't want to be there for over a week. I didn't want to be there for 2 weeks. I wanted, because of the new climate of college basketball, for our staff to have a break in August, because May, there's no longer a break with the transfer portal and constant recruiting. I wanted our players to also have a time off. So we're using wisely the end of July so that when we return, August, we can all set the reset button and circumspectively look at what we need to do going into the fall versus that's our break. We don't have that time to get better or reset, recharge. And now you have things running back to back on top of each other. So it's important that I had a situation that could take place for 5 days or less. And I thought the distance, I thought being able to fly through Florida allows guys like Nick Honor and Ant Robinson to go from Jamaica right to home. We have a layover in Orlando on our return. These guys get to go home as well. So those things factor in the overall transition. I'm sure somebody's going to try to get off in Orlando and go to Disney. I don't know who. It may be me. I hope my kids don't find out we stopping in Orlando.
Dennis, you talked last year a lot about Aiden Shaw's developments throughout the season. Just going into his second season here, where do you see his development and what are your expectations for this?
Well, my expectations are great for Aiden Shaw, and I think he provides us a level of activity that no other player on our roster is able to perform. He plays above the rim. Now, playing above the rim requires you to block shots, rebound, and do some really good things. And he has to be a little bit more comfortable presenting that, but stuff in the stat sheet. I thought a year older, we have a different mentality that we see, and that's great. A year older, you have confidence. A year older, you get better, you get stronger. And Aiden's doing that. He's getting lost in his routine. He's balancing the time management it requires of a freshman to adjust to a college program. The speed of the game has gotten a little bit slower for him. I expect him to do big things, and I do want his role of leading to continue to grow and develop. He's a young man that I do think one day will play in the NBA. And it's just a matter of time. And that time does not require him to play 50 minutes a game, 60 minutes a game, 30 minutes a game. It requires an overall efficiency and effort in the areas that those decision makers require. They want him to rebound at a higher rate. He got to average 1 rebound every 2.5 minutes. It's just that simple. He has to be able to knock down his free throws at 75 and up. Percentage-wise, he has to be able to remain consistent with his jump shot, and that's making the open ones, but not living behind the line. And he has to be a slasher. He has to be a decision maker. He has to be a defender. If he does not get on an all-defensive team, he's not ready. And that's my challenge to him. That's my challenge for him, and that's where I will ultimately see him grow. He has to be an all-defensive team type of guy.
Coach, you mentioned Anthony Robinson becoming a freshman team captain. What are some of the things that he's shown over this summer that allowed him to earn that role?
Well, I think these guys, I want to hear their response first of Ant, and then I'll say what I say.
Well, first of all, Anthony's from Florida, so yeah, he's gonna be a good guy. So, he just has all the intangibles. You know, he's a hard worker. He's an outgoing person. People want to be around him. So I feel like that's just everything you want in a leader. I know Coach Gates getting on him like a little bit about talking and everything, but I just tell him it's a process. We all got to start from somewhere. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's one of the most underrated freshmen in the country. So we'll just watch his development, and when he does his thing, I won't be too surprised. So.
Yeah, I agree with what Nick said. Ant's a great guy, great kid, fast learner. You know, he's always he's asking questions and trying to get better. So, I mean, that's what we need. We need a leader, and yeah, he's watching over the other freshmen, and yeah, he's doing a great job so far.
Yeah, when you look at the future of our program, you look at the biggest hole that will have to be filled after this season coming up, and that's losing 2 6-year point guards. Nick Honor and Sean East. So you have to develop what will be absent, and their leadership, whether silent or vocal, their presence in the locker room. They have infectious personalities, but we'll have to recruit that position as well. So we got to figure out if we're going to go with high school kid or portal kid in that. But Ant Robinson uniquely provides us that position. He has to do more. He has to talk more. I just saw in him an infectious personality that guys gravitate toward during the good, the bad, the ugly. He doesn't carry a lot of facial expressions, even in his stressful moments. He does not remove himself from the problem. He will absorb the issues, but he knows how to share the suffering. He knows how to lighten the load, lighten the mood. I mean, he is one of the funniest guys I know on the team. And when you have that, you have someone that can lead in a way. Now, the balance that I think we have to get to is the execution of that leadership. He's in the process. Him being named freshman captain doesn't mean he is the captain. It means he's in the process of becoming one. And we want to train guys up in those leadership roles because ultimately that is what wins. When a coach isn't around, when the huddle is taking place, when a voice has to be heard, you want someone with the emotional intelligence that he has and that he carries. But again, I look for Aiden Shaw to also be a potential captain in the future as well. And those two guys, when you look at high school development, Aiden Shaw was the first high school kid that we signed. Ant Robinson is another kid out of that group who has the personality, not saying that Jordan Butler or even Trent Pierce or Danny Stevens or JV can't give that. They just have to continue to develop. The same with Jackson. Ben Sternberg's absence has to be made and met. Ben provided us unbelievable energy. And can Jackson do it, or will someone else step up? And it's the fun things of filling in the voids of a season and preparing for the rigors that the SEC is going to give us.
Dennis, along those lines, what have you liked about your freshmen so far this summer, and how does high school recruiting kind of fit into building a program? I mean, the importance still in this era of the free transfer.
Yeah, so the first question I'll answer last, but the second question, high school, is high school development. You still want guys that are program guys that have been through your program for a number of years. You want that. Although it's more popular to be in the portal, you want guys who took the Kobe Brown path. You want that. Now you just have to balance it with junior college transfers and four-year transfers. We want to identify guys with the same backgrounds as Nick Honor and Noah Carter. Great kids. They wasn't running from problems. They just saw a need to move on and go to the next level. With Noah Carter coming from Northern Iowa to the SEC, he wanted to show that he belongs at this level. Nick Honor wanted, as a graduate, he wanted to change institutions, and he's a graduate kid. So it was non-traditional in that, and I think ultimately it helps us. What did I see in our freshmen is your next question.
What have you seen out of this summer?
I think Jordan Butler, he's getting better, but his process is going to take more time. Now, when it comes down to what he has, the speed of the game is one thing that he is adjusting to. The requirement of the vocal and the communication. You guys saw him today. He can shoot the ball. He has size. He can wall up. Now, I want all that to transfer into dominant play, a dominant disposition. And he's in the process of it. So it's no telling how long it'll take, but you can see the talent. He's definitely going to be needed. Trent Pierce is a little bit further along. I think his year in prep school allowed him a big jump. Now, ultimately, you see his size, you see his length, but he catches on to a lot of things faster because of that 1 year. Because coming from Tulsa, it was a little bit different at Arizona Compass for him. He was on a team with All-Americans, McDonald's All-Americans. Every day they were getting better and they were well coached, a great atmosphere. I thought and I think, his future is bright. We'll have to see where his growth goes. They have to get in the weight room. As you can see, they got a lot of bones and a lot of skin, not a lot of muscles yet. But they're getting better. Ant Robinson, we spoke of, he was coached by Charlie Ward. Charlie is one of the best two-sport athletes out there, and I know that he comes from a basketball family, an athletic family, and he's going to continue to get better. His IQ is great. I think what I see in those three is those three guys being able to, be chameleons and sort of absorb the atmosphere and give their very best every day. Danny Stevens, a walk-on, but also J.V. Brown. Those guys are tremendous assets to our program, and we want to continue to bring in young men like that. They are competing every day. They do not back down at all. They compete at a high level, and they want to get better. They want to get better. Both those kids could have received playing scholarships somewhere else. And I'll say it again, both of those kids turned down scholarships to be in our program at this level. So I'm excited about that freshman group. I'm excited about who they are, but I'm also excited about last year's freshman group of Aiden Shaw and Jackson Francois, and them being a year older, and see how they are teaching the young guys and demanding from the young guys. And if you have that internal structure, some things you don't have to cover as a coach. It's player-led, and that's what I expect to happen.
One last question.
Nick,
A lot of
when you,
just
Nick, when you go from playing with Demoy Hodge to playing with Tamar Bates, Kurt Lewis, what's that been like, especially with Kurt and Tamar being guys that are quick, explosive, and what do you foresee with these guys coming up?
It's been a pleasure so far. Those are two experienced guys, played at a high level, and they both can do a lot of things well. Kurt's an explosive guy who can shoot the ball, defend a little bit. Tamar Bates, pretty much the same thing. And we also got Caleb Grill too, which I can go on the record right now. He's probably the best shooter in the country. Y'all can write that down or whatever, but we have 100% belief in him. And also you got John Tanjay as well, who's coming in. So, we just have a good transfer group, guys that are eager to learn, experience, and they're used to that winning, but they want to win with Missouri. So I feel like, Demoy's a great player. Summer League, he showed everything that we've already known, as well as he did in Missouri. But just those guys coming in, they see how important it is, to how we value winning and development. And, I'm excited. It should be a good year.
And the one thing I would say about our newcomers is this, and I want you guys to open your minds a little bit. Sometimes development, you have to go through something. And I don't want you guys to lose sight. There's a player on our team that has gone through something that I don't think you guys feel may be impactful. The most impactful person I think this season, and I've seen the gradual growth this summer, has been Caleb Brown. Caleb put his name in the portal and decided to come back, and it's showing through his growth and development that decision was a great decision, but that's something he had to go through to get to where he's at now. And I'm glad and I'm happy that his teammates opened their arms and always had them open for him to return, and our staff has done the same thing. I think his growth and development between the lines, his confidence in between his ears have definitely grown. He's shooting the ball a lot better. He's rebounding the ball better. He's being more vocal. He's a guy, if we had to play right now, would definitely be in a rotation. Now the question is, how consistent will that behavior be? So this is both a challenge to him and also a sort of introduction to all our listeners, all our viewers, and our fans. Caleb Brown is getting better, but my expectation is this: how consistent will he be during the good and the bad? I think when we look at growth and development, we look at stats. He has and will have the same impact if he keeps at the pace that he's going that Trey Gomillion had on games. One of the things that I think set him apart was that Trey knew who he was. He did not fight that each and every day. He didn't. And what I've seen in Caleb Brown and the growth is that Caleb Brown can assume that role, that responsibility, and even more. I expect him to give us the same thing that not Kobe Brown did, but that Trey Gomillion has done. I want him to do those same things from a verbal, from an energy, and get lost in each and every possession. He's a great defender. He's a great connector, good passer, and he has a high basketball IQ. He can impact his team, and it may not show up in the stat sheets, but he has a potential to impact his team more than anybody, and I'm expecting him to continue to grow. So as we continue to learn about this program, learn about our team, I ask everybody to continue to give him a fair shot and not just label him Kobe's brother or look at these stats and these stats. He's been in this program for 2 years. Now it's time for him to make the jump. Now it's time for him to make the jump, and I challenge him to continue to do so. Last question. Let me get this young man's question.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, there's just a lot of roster turnaround going into this season. How are you guys building relationships with the newcomers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's nothing that I don't do, and most in here knows it. We use our sports psychologist, Dr. Joe Carr, and before we even touch the basketball, we call Joe Carr in, and Dr. Carr is definitely in those plans. So we try to break down the barriers of where we're from, the differences of our backgrounds, and try to merge them into one goal and one vision and head it in one direction. We try to do that without a basketball and try to look past basketball and beyond basketball. Who are we as people? We try our very best to get to know. The staff gets to know each other, our players get to know the staff gets to know the players, and managers included. And I want to always personalize and humanize each and every last one of our guys. I'm excited about where we are. All of our newcomers from Connor Vanover all the way to our freshmen. I'm expecting them to be a part of it. Last year we did the same thing. We had newcomers. And that last year we had, 12 of them? We had 12. And we managed to put everybody on the same page. We're still disappointed about how we ended the season. There's no doubt about it. We wanted to do more. And this year is not any different. We want to do more. And we want to get better each and every day, each and every week, each and every month. But it's going to take us staying in the moment. It's going to take our fans showing up. And I consistently and will always challenge. And, last year the challenge was met. We ended the season with 8 or so straight sellouts. We need our fans to be in the building early. We can't wait for the SEC season. We play an unbelievable NCAA tournament team, possibly a top 10 team in the country on paper in the University of Memphis. But we have a great opener this year as well. So we got to pack out the place from the beginning of the year to the very end, and these guys deserve the support, but our fans are more important than any. You guys have definitely given us a home court advantage. The success last year we share with you, and your abilities to sacrifice, show up, and be there for us every step of the way, and that's the beginning of a tradition. That's the beginning of something special, and I'm excited about the leadership. I'm excited about the announcement of our arena projects, having that construction of our scoreboard, but also an entire blackout of our arena will give us a level, I truly believe, a level of game day experience, but also an environment. Those TV viewers, get off the couch and come to the arena. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a great sight. Last but not least, our students, our returning students, as well as our new students. I challenge each and every last one of you to continue to show up how you have been. You made a difference as well. I've never been a part of a university where you had students camping out, sleeping in different weather, and it started last year, and it was a special thing, special sight to see. These guys will pull up or late at night, come to the gym and shoot. The night before games, they will witness students sleeping outside the arena, and I would do the same. Leaving the office, I would see students sleeping. That just speaks for our culture. It speaks for our culture, and not just our culture with men's basketball, but we saw a big difference in the support in women's basketball. And obviously, when we bring recruits in town for these football games, we saw the excitement build up then. So come out and support all our sports. And again, congratulations to our 2 captains, but also our other 2 who are not here. And congratulations to our former players who just signed pro contracts in Kobe Brown and Demoy Hodge. They'll continue to make us proud. And the biggest accomplishment, biggest pat on the back I can receive is from presidents and GMs when they say, Coach, your guys are so prepared, and they're more prepared than some of these lottery picks. So that's a great compliment that I will share with you guys, and I'm proud of that.
Thanks, guys.
MIZ.